Hi guys, welcome back to my studio. I am going to be talking about the spray station and the drying station, spray storage, give you some tips. Somebody sent me a DM after my introduction video, and they were curious about this section of the studio, so I figured I would go here next. So I'm going to back up just so that you can have some context. So my main studio is actually over on this other part. My spray station is in this like 100 square foot area, which is my main work area. So I just wanted you to see that so you knew where we were in the studio. Okay, so I have this spray box, and you don't need anything this large. I have it because I have the room and I tend to be messy, so this is helpful for me. I use these little trays. I got a 2-pack on Amazon, pretty cheap. If I'm working on something smaller, I might put it on, this is a little cookie rack, put it on the cookie rack, and so that I don't have to handle the cardstock or paper, I just pick this up, I come over here, I might do a little bit of drying, editing, and then come back over. Those are not required, just a nice to have. So my spray box, my first tip for you is no matter what size box you use, leave one of the back flaps on. So I'm going to grab a small box. Here's one of my small boxes. And you can see I have the flap on it, and it just helps to contain the spray. So why would you use a spray box? You could just spray on your craft mat in your main work area. I use it because every time I use my sprays, I don't want to clean up my space. So this box in particular, and that other one that's hanging up there, here, I use for this. So this is Distress Resist Spray. Whatever this touches, it's never coming off. So I use a box separately for this so that I don't ruin my craft mats. Okay, so in my main spray box, there is a piece of plywood, and that is on there only because if I push the box all the way back, it's quite a ways, and I don't know if you can tell, but I'm really leaning in here, and that doesn't feel good on my back. So normally what I do is I just pull the box out so it's closer to me. And I added the piece of wood because before there was just the box flap, so when I pulled it out, the flap would drop. So I just put it on there for that more stable surface. You don't need that by any means. On top of the wood, I have a piece of foil. That is just out of habit. Before I had the wood, I just had the box. I didn't want the bottom of the box getting soaked every time I sprayed water in it, so I put the foil down. And then I have these cheap craft mats. I get it like a 3-pack. They're fairly large, and then I cut them down. This might be the full size right here, like 18 by 12 maybe. And I use them until I wreck them, and then I just replace them. And why do I use a craft mat? I use a craft mat so that I don't waste my sprays. So I'm going to show you a few things here. These are leftover spray. So if I have sprays down here, this is mixed media paper. I just grab my mixed media paper, I wet my sprays, and I wipe up my sprays. And I can use that. I can use it as a journal page. I can cut it into tags or use it in collaging, but that would have been a lot of wasted spray. So I pick up my extra or my overspray, and then I use it. This was a background paper that I sprayed on top of. And then here's another idea. So I always have tissue paper. This is actually medical exam paper, and scrap fabric. And sometimes I use that to mop up my sprays. So here's an example. This is pretty grungy. And I'll just throw this in my scrap fabric drawer, and then I'll use it in whatever project it makes sense to use it in. Here's some tissue paper that I soaked up sprays with. So you can see by soaking up your overspray, you can get some kind of cool things to use in your projects. Okay, so I just want to reiterate, you by no means need a box this large. This small box is good enough. You don't need to go buy a spray box. Just repurpose a box, you know, from Amazon or groceries or something. Okay, to the left of my spray box is my drying and heat station. So here is just a craft mat sitting on top of a paper towel. It's got a cookie cooling tray. Back here is a cookie cooling tray that I cut to fit in my little section here. And then I made this shelf so that I could clip my fan on. This is a really cool fan. So it's USB chargeable. It holds its charge for a long time. It has various speed settings on it, and it can go in any direction. And so what I use this for is, because I have no patience, I want things to dry. I put it up here, and then when I want to dry something, I just set it back here. I put the fan on it, so you can see these were put back there to dry. This one's actually still a tad bit wet, but this one is not. And then I also have hanging on the edge of the table, and this is another tool tip for you. Whatever you can hang up and get off of your work surfaces, do that. So all I did here, I'm going to see if I can get the camera to pick it up. I don't know if you can see the nail. Oops, right there. Right, so this is my Ranger Heat It for if I want to dry something without using the fan. I also have my embossing gun hanging up. I have these cool little tweezers. I don't use them often, so they're kind of back here. I also have a little poker tool. I sometimes use that to hold down papers that I'm drying. And I have tweezers. So I use these tools often in this space, and that's why I have them hanging up here. And by hanging up, they're not taking up precious worktop real estate. Over to the right of my box, I have more drying area. So this is just another cookie rack. This is a scrap box. Don't really know why I have a scrap box there. This is just cheap linoleum scrap, and I laid it on top of a piece of wood. And so if I'm making a bunch of backgrounds and I don't need them all to dry right away, I'll put them over here to dry. Or, you know, I've soaked up some overspray, I'll just throw that over there until it dries. So this is just kind of extra passive drying space. Keep my little, my small racks here, and then normally I have papers that are in process of soaking up, and I'm just not done with them yet, so I leave them there. And so that is my spray station and drying station and my heat station. I have my embossing tool, all my embossing powders over here as well. What else is over here are my sprays. So you can see I have the Tim Holtz oxides on the top. I have the Distress spray stains in the middle, and on the bottom I have Delusions ink sprays, and then the shimmer sprays. And I have these in a cart so that if I want to take them to another area in my studio, I can just roll the whole cart versus trying to gather up 12 or 15 sprays and carry them over and then have to put them away after. So I find that the wheeled carts are really great storage for a lot of things. And all I did here was make a box. So this was an Amazon box that I think I had to cut the end of it off and make it the right size. And then you can see, let me try to get the camera closer. I did put some dividers in just to kind of keep the sprays intact. And on the top, I have the oxide sprays. I don't have a box, but hopefully you can see that I made cardboard dividers and I just taped them right to the actual tray here, just to keep everything organized and intact. And then I also have mica spray. So my mica sprays are stored in the Tim Holtz storage, and they're stored laying down. So Tim recommends storing these laying down. So those are my pink, red, orange, yellow, green. And then down here, I have blue, purple, and naturals. I have my Distress Spritz in these tins. Those are also recommended to be stored laying down. And I don't know if I already said that the oxide and distress spray stains should be stored upright, and that's per Tim Holtz, and he talks about that in his demo videos. Okay, that's all I have for you for the spray station and the heat station. I do have my embossing powders and glazes in these drawers. My tip for you here, and this goes for most of your supplies, put similar supplies in similar containers, and then you can fit more. So originally I had all my embossing glazes in the original containers they came in. They didn't fit in this drawer. I put them in these small containers, and now I can fit twice as much. And they're all in the same size containers as well. And then I have some embossing tools and my most common powders up here. Okay, so I did a little bit of embossing talk here, but it made sense because it's part of the heat station. Okay, guys, I think that's all I have for you today. Feel free to either DM me or comment on any of these videos with suggestions for what you want to see next. And I will try to accommodate the best I can. I'm really glad you joined me today. I hope this was helpful. And if you liked it, a thumbs up, consider subscribing to my channel, and I will see you back here again soon. Make it a crafty day, guys.